Mm, yes, we are. Let's do it. All right. Welcome to my channel, people. This is L'Esprit. All right. If you're familiar with me, you know what I do. We talk about spirituality. It's not obviously not for everybody, but that's what we do. You know what I'm saying? So I pretty much talk about the spiritual side of shit and how I see things. Obviously, because I'm the person talking about it. But anyway, let's delve right into it. The title of this video is Detangle the Entanglement, the Spiritual Work. Now, the month of August was too hot for me to talk about this. You know what I'm saying? The wave, the trends, I had to let that shit die down. Just only because I didn't want to talk about the same things that other people. Obviously, I'm not talking about the same things that other people were talking about, but I felt like it was a little too trendy for even to get my message across. Now that shit is down, died down a little bit. I hope it is. I'm not seeing as much people talking about it, but anyway, um, so yes, so here we are. So I'm going to be talking about this. So obviously, as you can see in the title of this video, we're going to be talking about the Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith situation, or Will and Jada Pinkett Smith situation, however you want to put it. But anyway, now with that being said, before I even get into it, and what I'm going to be talking about is going to be the spiritual side of it, spiritual aspect of it that we all can learn from. And when it comes to spirituality, for you to become independent, for you to truly do your spiritual work, there are a few things that you have to detach yourself from so you can embark on your journey, such as society. It's one part of it, and I believe that's where this topic falls in. The marriage, the society, or there's no or. That's pretty much what it is. Then you have the political aspect of it, not the political aspect of that situation, but politics in general. The world, politics, nations, and shit like that. Then the other part of it would be religion, right? So you have religion or the religious aspect. Those are some of the major institutions or the major um, forces that pretty much holds you down or that blurs your vision in order for you to become spiritual. And I saw the Will and Jada Smith situation as the society aspect of it. That we all, the society, the psychological aspect of it that we all can learn from. And so you can learn how to look at it and remove yourself from it, right? So if you're looking for maybe, the entanglement part of it, making fun and shit like that, that's not going to happen. That's not what I'm going to be doing. But more because I don't give a fuck about that, and anybody who were to criticize or who's criticizing them too, it's you're putting yourself out. You're putting yourself out there. You know what I'm saying? Sorry to say it, because whatever you're criticizing is criticizing you because you're saying, you're talking about you. So welcome to my dimension, motherfucker. So, but anyway, with that being said, let's dive right into it. Oh, and before I begin, I gotta commend, I gotta shout Will Smith out, man. Um, that is some civilized shit. Like we all can see it. The motherfucker was hurt as fuck, and yet he sat down. Of course, there could be so many other political or like shit behind it. Do you see what I'm saying? Obviously, they both make money together. It could be a money move, but regardless of what it is, I choose to look at the positive side of it, or maybe something that you could see in it, or maybe something you should be looking at that can help, right? Because obviously they are a brand. They make money together. That's part of his brand. So his family, and, a lot of his values, or he makes his money like that too. So that could be part of it too. I'm not neglecting that. Shit, niggas are hustlers out there. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker will hustle by any means necessary. But even if that is the case, right? So that would require a certain, because I don't think I mean, he probably would make more money doing that, but I believe he'll still make money because he's still Will Smith, right? Right? So even with that being said, what I'm saying is, even if it was a money move, there's a certain maturity in it too, not to let this feeling involved, and yet let's get this fake or whatever the fuck the situation is, right? So, and that could be part of it too, because obviously they were separated for a long time and they didn't get a divorce. And based on what they were talking about, and you remember that look, oh, that Jada gave him, oh no, we were over. Oh no, we were over. So that could be all of it. I mean, it's all of it. I'm not neglecting anything here, but I'm choosing to go with this because, first of all, I'm good looking. You know what I'm saying? You don't see reality as it is. You see reality as you are. So, but at the same time, I'm not no fool. You know, I'm looking at everything else. But let's put everything else aside. That is some civilized shit, my niggas. You know, and obviously we all saw that he was hurt, but yet he was man enough, you know what I'm saying, to he sat down and listened to all that shit. Woo! You know, and you gotta respect it. Well, you don't have to, but definitely I respect it. And however you want to dissect that, you know, hey, I gotta give him credit for it. But anyway, let's get into it. So I wanted to put that out there, because that is some true civilized shit. Now, in order for me to be talking about the things that I'm going to be talking about here, it's important for me to delve a little bit into this, upbringing, I guess, to learn. And obviously, I don't know the motherfucker, but this is going to be based on some of the public information that I was able to put together. And I'm pretty sure you could YouTube that shit. You could Google it. I mean, obviously YouTube it, because I believe I did see a documentary that talked about his the way he brought up, basically. Don't quote me on that, but you could actually YouTube that shit and put it together yourself. But again, like I said, this is for educational purposes. Take it as you will, and my niggerettes. So, with that being said, so a little bit of background about what I was able to collect from Will Smith was that growing up, and I quote, he said he saw a lot of discrepancies in his family. Red flag, people. Or maybe I should say the first thing we could learn from this here. I mean, even from the gate, there's a lot of things we could learn from the very beginning. So, and okay, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So, I quote, he said there was a lot of discrepancies in his family. So obviously he took it up on himself. Now his family is going to be better, right? So seeing the discrepancies and based on what society is showing him, so his family is going to come out to be better. I can't knock that. That's the psychological aspect of it. But this is the thing that we all could learn from it. And this is where, the spiritual lesson starts, even from here to begin with. You are not responsible for your family's or for your parents' issue, good or bad. And and I don't even think that's fucking spiritual too. Like, how can you be responsible for, let's just say this is your first time on earth. How can you be responsible for niggas that gave you birth that is older than you, and here you are in this world, brand new and shit? That is some egotistical bullshit. Oh yeah, that is very egotistical. What gives you, I don't know, the balls? I mean, obviously, I mean but it's all fear based though. Um, Do you see what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's not even spirituality. You know, it's common sense. Here I am, fucking, let's say 12 years old, 20 years old. My parents are in their 50s. Just saying hypothetically. Obviously, I'm not 20. I'm over 20. Anyway, leave me alone. Leave me alone, niggas. But anyway, do you see what I'm saying? How can you be responsible for their fucking issue? That doesn't even make sense. But of course, life is not about, it's not all intellectual because we have to go. And here's something I forgot to mention too: the emotional part of us that really, fuck, that really that really fucked us up when it comes to us growing spiritually. So you have to overcome all of those things. But anyway, let's get back to it. I mean, I guess the society part of it, you have the emotional, the psychological part of it. And I could be missing a couple other things here. I mean, I'm just freestyling anyway. So with that being said, so you're not responsible for your parents' issue because you don't have enough information. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, and I could use even myself. Like, I remember, like, my dad used to tell me, nigga, don't you ever get married, man. Because you could be living with a bitch for like 9 years. And after that 1 month, like the 9 years and then 1 month, you get married with the bitch. And then you guys gonna get a divorce. Now, at that time, me looking at him, right? So it was like, man, get the fuck out of here, man. Like, cause this nigga was fucking a whole bunch of bitches. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I was looking at it. But as I grow up, I understand what he's talking about, right? Because we're talking about ego here. So a lot of the times after getting married, the person's ego changes. Now you mom. Do you see what I'm saying? And usually when women talk about you being my man, they're not referring to the qualities that you have or how we fit in together. They're talking about this. You're my man. like something that they own, like a fucking sandal, like what I'm saying, like a phone, like a fucking object. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is like the ego is short-sighted, so you don't have enough information even for you to say that. Let's just say I get it. Okay, you being emotional. Okay, that those are your parents, but you don't have enough information. Even if your dad used to beat up on your mom, I mean, it's not a good thing. But I mean, I'm not saying that he's right for doing it. But your mom also stayed in the fucking relationship too. So it takes two for everything. You see what I'm saying? But anyway, I mean, and this is just the fucking physical part of it. This is just the human part that I'm talking about here. I mean, there's nothing, spiritual about what I'm saying here. So even for me to say that you're not responsible for your family, I mean, at first, I mean, I was thinking, I mean, that is some spiritual stuff that some spiritual teachers would tell you. But if you really dissect it, I mean, there's nothing spiritual about that, in my opinion. But anyway, I don't want to stay on that too much. So fast forward. But I want you to keep that in mind, right? So this, the actual discrepancy, the psychological effect that that he sees, or how that affected him going forward, right? So there he is. Fast forward. Now, was supposed to meet Jada. Ended up meeting his first wife. He got married. Um, I mean, and all that shit is YouTube too. You could go on the red table. Um, I think there was an episode where they actually talked about that. Right? So because he liked Jada obviously, and well, not obviously, but you know what I mean. But ended up married with this other woman, right? And they had a child together. And on Valentine's Day, right? So keep all of that in mind. So we talked about the discrepancy. We're talking about, and obviously when he mentioned that, and don't quote me on this one, but I believe he felt like he took it up on himself. Now he's the man. His family's not going to go through that, right? Or, you know, his family's supposed to be, no, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And your family is supposed to be better, regardless of what you go through. Like, and that's what makes sense. I'm not saying, you know, like, what, I mean, what the fuck are we doing here? But what I'm trying to refer here by him taking it up on himself is that not having enough knowledge, you know, at a young age, or the way he was affected by it. Now, to say that your family's going to be better, that's what makes it funny. You know, if you have all the understanding, like the way I was brought up, my family is going to be better because I understand the psychological aspect. I made peace with myself, my mom and dad. So I think I'm good. So my family's going to be better because now I know how to deal with them. But on a spiritual level, based on understanding. So I don't want you to feel like, you know, what I'm saying is the nigga his family is supposed to be better. But the amount of information or the way he's going about it, that's what makes it funny. So it's like, nah, nigga, you already got this fucked up. And now, based on, you know, the little bit of knowledge that you have, now you're saying your family's gonna be better. You know, versus fixing yourself first. Now make things better. And that's what I was trying to say. But anyway, so keep that in mind. So there he is. You know, his family's gonna be better. So got married with this woman that he didn't like. So obviously this is all tied up to what I was talking about too. So there you are, you didn't love the bitch, then you went and got married with the nigga. And when the nigga filed for divorce, you said no. Damn, like if this is not, and this is what the ego does. That's the most egotistical, societal bullshit I can, you know, that we all see and have to go through. You know, and that's why a lot of people, you've seen a lot of relationships where people love each other, but yet they're stay together. But anyway, now let's talk a little bit about this first wife because nobody ever talked about her. And she's birthed the conversation. If anything, I mean, well, you embrace the good and the bad, you know, because the light is in the dark, and the dark, you know, has the light, and the light is the light. So, and the light could be dark too. Be careful now. Anyway, so, but I feel like she's not getting a lot of credit. And I mean, this is not a point. This is not a point system or anything. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm trying to say is, like, we're not trained to look at values. And by the way, well, before I get to that, now think about this. There she is, and I believe Will Smith was probably in the beginning of the peak of his career, right? And I think her career was kind of like going down a little bit. And if you YouTube that too, I think she talked about that a little bit, right? But I can't recall her name, but she's fine too, though. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, but the part of her that I want to talk about is the value, man. Now that's the kind of bitch. You want to talk about queen? Now that's a queen to me. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, money was not her motivation here. That's values, man. God damn. You know, you could tell the ground she stands on she stands on some sacred ground. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of bitch I want. You know what I mean? That's the kind of bitch I want. Now, if anybody knows, you know her, I'm saying, she deal with Haitian niggas. God damn, baby. You shit. I'll give you your groove back, nigga. I'll give that motherfucker her groove back. You feel me? Take it to the island, girl. Give you that groove back. But anyway, with that being said, you know, like, this is that's some of the things that we don't look at. We don't value because we're not trained to look at that. I don't know. But again, it takes one to know one. As you develop more values in yourself, obviously, guess what's going to happen? You're going to start seeing, values. I see gold in dirt. So, anyway, with that being said, welcome to my dimension too. You know what I'm saying? Welcome, niggas. But anyway, with that being said, and I just wanted to shout her out, man. Like, that's my, you know what I'm saying? You got my attention, baby girl. Hey. Hey. But anyway, fast forward. So on Valentine's Day, she filed for divorce, and actually, I don't know, like they probably went to dinner, they were having dinner, whatever the fuck it was. Oh, you can YouTube that shit, you know what I'm saying? Don't quote me. I'm pretty much giving you a little bit of background of some of the information I was able to actually collect, right? So, and that was the best gift ever. Now, stay with me here. On Valentine's Day, the day that people celebrate love, that was her ways of showing love to him. Niggas. And that was true love. But unfortunately, this motherfucker didn't get it. Cried like a bitch. And again, this is not attacking, this is how I talk. I talk my shit. Bear with me, this is not attacking the men. In fact, I love this nigga. Like when I say love, well, I gotta pause. Not love in that I don't give a fuck about nobody. But I love his music. You know what I'm saying? This last thing with Joyner Lucas, that's my shit. I'll be rocking that shit. You know what I'm saying? I may have that shit here. Oh, fuck it. Anyway, I should play that shit in the background as I was talking. You know what? Let me look for it. Anyway, as I'm looking for it, I'm going to just keep on talking because, I felt like, I'm not coming at the nigga at all. I don't give a fuck about him. And I know he damn sure don't give a fuck about me. So, and I'm damn sure don't give a fuck about him either. So, and I'm not saying this in a fucking egotistical way, but what I'm trying to say is, it's like, listen, you have to live your life. That's why I came here too. All that celebrity, all that other bullshit is just distraction. But anyway, let's put that aside. I can thought about it in the first place. I didn't. What happened? Whatever happens, happens. But anyway, that's not what we're here for. But I guess it would be best, for me to say it just to make sure, not to make sure because I don't give a fuck about what you think, but to ensure that, what I'm saying, the message being projected correctly. You know what I'm saying? It's not no shot, it's not making fun, but strictly for educational purposes. But anyway, let's keep on going. Let's do what we do. Let's just keep on going. So now with that being said, right? So that was the best gift, best gift ever that she could have given him. Not only giving him that was love too, people. Because letting people go out of your life is the best thing you could do. It's not all about, your ego wants to, wants attachment. But when you love, you releasing, you giving, right? So he cried. So keep in mind, you have to understand. Here's a guy that saw discrepancies in his family, wants his family to be better, and I believe they had already had a child together, and now he's gonna get divorced. Yeah, that shit gotta eat his motherfucking ass out. Pause, man. You see what I'm saying? You gotta eat that shit. This nigga, when he said he was devastated, I believe him. Oh yeah, I believe you, nigga. Because you already had this image, that society image that he had in mind, and now it's like the image is being destroyed in front of him. But anyway, and he still didn't want to do it because that maybe his I think his part of his mentality too, like it's not to be a quitter. That would equate or equivalent of him being quitting. Nigga, get the fuck out of here. But anyway, I mean, I'm just speaking from his perspective here. Listen, There's a difference between being a quitter and knowing when to quit. And that's not even spiritual shit. That's not even spiritual shit. I wonder when I'm going to start talking about the spiritual part of it. You know what I'm saying? Because all that shit's common sense. But I guess the spiritual part of it comes in when you, part of spirituality and what it does, it enables you to come outside of the circle of time or come outside of flesh and blood of flesh, or come outside of the situation because it gives you a better understanding and look at things for what they are. Because we're all travelers here. And that's what a lot of spiritual people have been trying to tell you. We are travelers here, man. We're not here to stay, we're here to die, right? But by dying, we're here to learn, right? So why are we here for? Do you see what I'm saying? So when you get stuck in the political, when you get stuck in society's bullshit, you are being distracted. You're not seeing things for what they are. Because if you are, then if you're gonna die, so what are you here for? Understand what I'm saying? It's not having the fear of death here, but it's to understand, okay, what is this? What is this thing all about? See, that's why I don't see anything more valuable than fucking spirituality. What is it, money? I don't see anything more valuable. So in reality, when you're not, or when anybody do not want to be spiritual, you don't know why you're here. You're dead. You're distracted. I mean, if I want to water it down a little bit, but you know, why the fuck are you here? But anyway, let me get back to the conversation. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so anyway, the link that I was trying to make, or the point that I was trying to make here, the spiritual side of it is, you're able to see things for what they are because you're outside of the game. You see what I'm saying? And that's the reality, and that's the reason why you'll see every game has a coach, right? In boxing, in basketball, because as you're playing the game, you don't see all the play, right? And I guess you could say too, that's why we have spiritual guides as well, right? Because they're guiding us, right? Being able to have, but the one thing that spirituality does as well is that, in spite of and on top of you having your spirit guides and all of that, is that it gives you a better understanding by removing you from society. And that's pretty much what what Jesus meant when he said, obviously, quoting on this, Jesus said, I'm in this world, but not of this world. You see what I'm saying? So, and that's, what I was trying to say. But anyway, to get back to the story, so that was the best gift, like, this nigga ever had, but he didn't quite understand, right? So fast forward, obviously he didn't learn his lesson, called Jada, got married, it was just like that. Now you're seeing me, whatever the fuck, however the fuck he said it. You can YouTube it. I'm not gonna wait too long here, but I just want you to follow some of the main event here. So for you to understand how I got to the conclusion or the understanding that I got out of it, right? So there it was. That happened. Cried like a bitch. Oh, I gotta mention that. I gotta say this, and you might want to quote me on this one too. I believe she said, and that was the thing that resonated with him when he agreed to the actual divorce. He said, oh shit, I forgot how she said it, so you don't want to quote me on that one. But the bottom line was, she was saying, well, how would you want to marry or stay married to somebody that you don't love? And what he resonated with, it was the fucking truth, man. Truth is a motherfucking enemy. But he still didn't get the lesson. So fast forward, got with Jada, married that bitch. Now there was an offer There was a nigga too. You might want to follow this nigga on YouTube. Not following him, but I think he did a pretty good, you know, video on not exposing Will Smith, but kind of like showing that their marriage or their relationship wasn't what they that as they're projecting it. And I believe they're projecting it again a different way here too. That it's not that either, and I'll get into that. But I don't know you I even should because that's not what the bottom line here is. I'm talking about because the lesson here, what I want you to follow is the egotistical, is the ego, the society bullshit. You not being able to live your life, but being attached to a fucking image instead of, life itself. But anyway, fast forward, they went on Oprah. I don't even know. I don't even have to talk about it because I'm gonna delve into the red, table too. I know there's a lot of funny shit in that shit, but it's the educational part of it. Keep that in mind, educational part of it. And I don't. That shit's funny. So let me have nigga. But anyway, um, so now got with Jada, and of course there was a red table episode where I believe he was talking about Jada's 40th birthday. So showing you this nigga was all this time not wanting. It had nothing to do with love here. His first wife, the discrepancies. Okay, let's start with the actual discrepancy. His first wife trying to help him out, nigga, snap out of it. Get out of your ego, right? Then he went and got married, and there was some shit that happened too. I think he was also having issues with his kids too, trying to force them to be successful and all that shit that they didn't want, but he think that was better. And I even believe that he talked about it a little bit, like he was winning on the outside, but on the inside, he was losing everything, right? So, but what he didn't tell you here is that that was ego. And I don't know, maybe he did say something about it along those lines, but anyway, but I believe he did say some shit about he was winning outside, on the outside world, his career, people was loving him, good family, or the picture that he was painting. You see, even though can you imagine Will Smith going through all that success, man, and yet couldn't even grasp this, couldn't even grasp that he's responsible for his own life. I mean, this is a lot of things that people are not even talking about, and just to show you, money ain't shit. Like my man Clef said, you're looking at my mind, you're looking at my watch, but my mind is the diamond. You make the money, man. But anyway, and I guess so. They had a major fallout, right, on Jada's 40th birthday, right? Because obviously he threw a party, a big party, thinking, obviously he was doing it for him. And he also admitted that too. So anyway, so I think that's when they decided to, okay, you go out there and make yourself feel, I mean, and I'm quoting, I'm not sure if I'm saying exactly word for word, but pretty much what he was saying is, okay, so after that happened, so they decided to pretty much not getting a divorce, but to go their separate ways. And I believe he did say to her, okay, make yourself, trying to figure out how to make yourself happy. And he's going to do the same thing. And I guess whatever the fuck happens, right? So now keep all of that in mind. What the fuck was I talking about? I forgot where I was going with this. Yeah, so we were talking about the ego. We were talking about the egotistical part of it, right? So we were talking about how he kind of went from what the fuck? I lost my train of thought. Okay, but anyway, I'll get back to it. So fast forward. So now you're looking at all of this, because I'm trying to show you here, like the spiritual work that has to be done. I'm showing you as far as your ego part of it, how you got to snap out of it. So obviously, this nigga didn't snap out of it. So he kept on doing the same thing over and over too. And here's something else that I also wanted to mention about the shadow work, or maybe your shadow, not the work, but shadow work would be actually acknowledging your shadow and trying to fix it. And honestly, too, you're not really gonna fix it. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna dance with your shadow, so you wouldn't be stuck in that pattern. Because there was a pattern that he was actually being that was being repeated here. From his first wife. Obviously, he didn't have that many other wives, but after that, her, and I'm pretty sure the image that he was trying to kid, he still didn't learn the lesson. That was the pattern, right? That was the pattern. So that was that first uh, red table that they had. Now, fast forward to the last one, right? And this is where all hell breaks loose, right? So, and I also want to talk about a couple of things that I noticed that people didn't notice in that conversation. So, so he went like, so Jada, um, this is the red carpet show. Like, I'm saying red. Why am I keep saying red carpet? This is the red table, right? So, and the reason why he said that, and this is what a lot of people didn't catch on, because a lot of if you look at previous episodes, it's like whoever goes to the fucking red table gotta cry because that is some deep emotional shit going on. It's like they all gotta, and this is the fake guru too. I'm gonna get on their ass, and of course, it's not personal because to me, it's a great opportunity to talk about the new age because I feel like that's what she represents, right? So, but anyway, so Will Smith, we're trying to ask her, this is the red table, so you brought yourself here, and then he said some shit about the transgression. But what he was truly saying is, nigga, you always, the red table is there for people to really express their feelings. And here goes this motherfucker too, still loving her, or maybe not trying to give up on her, but trying to get her to speak. And as we all saw that shit, this bitch didn't say shit. So I wonder the lessons that she was talking about that she learned, it was, she didn't say nothing about what she learned. It was all brief. The conversation was brief. And I could tell, and we all could see that she wasn't uncomfortable. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not like Will Smith was uncomfortable because his feeling was pretty heavy on him. So I can understand if he didn't say much, but that bitch, if you look on her face, that bitch was at. It seems like she was at peace, nigga. He had a glow. It's like that bitch was not losing sleep over that shit, nigga. Fuck you. So I wonder. See, this is what I'm saying too. That's where again, if you go back to the beginning of what I was talking about, if I wonder if Will Smith didn't drag her through this shit too. I don't know, right? Because obviously, she wasn't really open about it. And that's when even Will Smith called her on, when she said, August and I had a fucking entanglement. It was like, and then, you guys can see that, but I'm trying to point out a few things, and Will Smith was being very, I guess, respectful or didn't want to get too much on her. And I wonder too, if that wasn't maybe he was frustrated too. That could be his frustration because maybe he's not saying some of the things that he really wanted to say. I mean, not maybe, but how he wanted to say it. Because he was definitely frustrated for some of the shit that he really wanted to say and how he wanted to say it. And because if like the first thing he said, right? If I'm trying to remember here, because I'm going up the head, he said some shit about, that was my thing too, because, when August first came to the house, we knew he had issues. You see what I'm saying? So there's a lot of shit that he's saying, but he's not saying it. So it's like for you to go out and fuck a nigga that we knew had problems, and that was the reason why we accepted this motherfucker because he had problems, and there you went and fucked a nigga. I mean, shit. I wish I could do a fucking translation for that nigga because I feel like that's what he was truly trying to say. So if you go back trying to pick the game, that's what he was saying. You know what I'm saying? Truly, you know what I'm saying? I was done with you. There was a lot of, things that was not being said, but nigga, I pick game, nigga. But anyway, so, she, again, it's like she had a way of, well, I mean, I don't want to say she's smooth because she's not that smooth, you know, but how can I say this? She had a way of making everything seem light. You know what I'm saying? It's like, Will Smith throw that shit at her, she's like, what? You know what I'm saying? She had a way of, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, I hope you get what I'm saying here. So, and it's important. Let me get into, what was being said a little bit, just so I can get into the spiritual part of it. But it's important for me to kind of like explain some of these things, right? And I felt like a lot of videos that I've seen on it, because I've seen so many videos before I even wanted to talk about this, because I don't like to talk about the shit that a lot of people are talking about, or at least not the way that they're talking about it. So that was one thing that he did say. So trying to, get her to speak. But she's like, obviously, and this is what I'm saying. When she said she learned, I don't know, but based on my experience, or the shit, when I know when somebody learns these things. Because the first thing you'll do, and you'll see that in every teacher or spiritual people or anybody who actually really learns something, they're not afraid to talk about it. Or they're not afraid to pretty much show what their weaknesses was as they were going through it. That's one thing I learned from fact. And of course, she did mention a couple of things. She got to deal with her demons, but it was, I don't know, something about it wasn't it. And again, keep in mind, and that's when, Will Smith told her, okay, this is the red table here, right? And keep in mind, because this is what the red table does, shit, Snoop Deal Double G. This bitch got a G. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's what Will Smith was referring to. So your red table was known for addressing certain issues, deep issues, to talk about them. And that's when he goes like, so what happened, Jacob? Do you see what I'm saying? But anyway, I digress. I don't want to get into that a little too much. So the first part of it that I wanted to talk about was the Will Smith part, the egotistical part of it, right? So you're looking at someone, you're not responsible for your family, but somebody, and the way the ego works when it comes to marriages, because what he was doing at this point was making himself looking good, not really seeing what the person loved. When you love somebody, and it's not ego, you're not doing it from your egotistical perception. You look at the person. Maybe just a flower could have been it. You see what I'm saying? Maybe it's something that small. But most importantly, right? So the Will Smith part of it was the egotistical part that I wanted to point out that we all could learn from. You're not responsible for your family, right? And obviously, you know, what I don't know what the thing that he called between Jada and him has. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. It could be love, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't know. But anyway, so it was for you to understand that. Okay, so look for a healthy relationship before you get into marriage, man. If that's what you want to do. And marriage, anyway, is a business any fucking way. So the bottom line here is that, you know what I'm saying, for you to do your spiritual work, it's important because those things are gonna hold you down. You know, you're gonna think like you're doing the right thing. I mean, it's gonna sound good, but yet there's no life in it, right? So now let's get into Jada a little bit. There she is, that groove bitch. You know, to me, she represents the new age. And when we talk about new age, it's just that the wording, the words, the verbs, because that's what I realize a lot of the new age people do. They talk about spirituality, but they're not about spirituality. You know, it's very important, man. Like somebody like her, obviously, how do you deal with have your own demon and getting up? Like me personally, I knew she was fake. I mean, I don't pay attention to her fucking red table, but I did watch the fucking Snoop Dogg shit, and that's when I'm like, what? And she said some shit about, because I know Snoop Dogg called some other bitch. Uh, I don't remember that girl, that lady's name, right? That was talking about Kobe Bryant, whatever. You guys could YouTube it, or you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. And then she said it could have been me. I'm like, what? And I think that's the only part that I saw too. And the other part that I saw was when, of course, when, somebody added like Snoop Dogg was crying. I'm like, come on, dog. You know what I'm saying? Snoop D-O-double-G. That's how you giving it out there. You know what I'm saying? That's how you giving it up. Anyway, so now I went. I'm like, oh, man. And a lot of people, obviously, the bitch assness came out of my nigga Snoop D-O-double-G. You know what I'm saying? But then that's when I'm like, because I never really paid attention to her for me to know if she was fake or not. You see what I'm saying? But there was a couple things that I've heard her saying. I'm like, oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like that. There was one Oprah episode. Again, I didn't watch the whole thing when her and Will Smith was there, and she was saying, but the kid has to, certain things that she was saying. I'm like, okay, she sound good, and that's what the New Age does. They throw a couple of spiritual words and the overall message, just like the law of attraction. That shit is bullshit, man. Okay. When I say bullshit, is that it's really the law of vibration, and that's come from the Kabbalion or the Tahuti, the fucking Hermetic principle, and it's not. You're not gonna manifest everything. You can only manifest what you're aligned with. Okay? Thus, i.e., that's why they call it the law of vibration. You're vibrating on certain levels, then you're going to bring the people or the things that, and you don't even have to ask for it. You don't even have to ask for it. Really, because once you're in that vibration, you're going to automatically vibrate those people around you. Automatically, good or bad. Because once you were on that, let's just say if you were shallow, or you know what I'm saying, if you were shallow, or you know what I'm saying, like you didn't have to ask for all the bitches or the dumb bitches that you were with. You didn't ask for it. they automatically come around. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Jesus meant. Again, Jesus meant by, find the kingdom of God first, and everything else will be given to you. Right? So all of that is the true, law of attraction. But anyway, part of what the New Age does, it kind of like collects some of those spiritual shit make it sound good, but there's really no spirituality behind it. Because true spirituality is something that you live. You talk about it too, but most importantly, it comes from the work. Do you see what I'm saying? And obviously, she wasn't vibrating on certain levels, not just to have that motherfucker around, because as you vibrate on certain levels, you're gonna be helping other people too. I mean, that comes with the territory, but not to be fucking the nigga or I felt so good. This bitch said I haven't felt good. I felt so good. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So, but there she was talking all that spiritual bullshit. But here's something else too. Spirituality is not based on action. I mean, I just want to point that out. It's not like, okay, do you drink? Then you're not spiritual. Okay. So what happened there? It's not because you're gonna recognize a tree by its fruit. But the fruit that we're talking about here, it's um, it's not your deeds. It's not okay. I'm spiritual. I got $5. I'm gonna give you $2. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the the the, the essence, the true knowledge, your action, not not morality, not the bullshit, not the ethical bullshit. You know what I'm saying? But if and then she said something about it felt good to help somebody. You didn't help the guy. In fact, you fucked them up even more. So anyway, I don't want this to be, that's why I don't want to stay too much on that, or maybe to talk about her bullshit. But what she represented, there you have somebody who's talking all that bullshit, have other people crying. Those fake ass guru bullshit, man. And I'm pretty sure if I were to watch any other ones of her fucking episodes, I could point out all of this bullshit. And I only saw the Snoop Dogg shit and not even the entire shit. I'm like, this bitch is bullshit. Bullshit. Do you see what I'm saying? What? Anyway, I'm not even, I digress. Now, so that's the fake guru that you guys got to watch out for. August. I don't know, man. I don't know much to say about this movie. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot I could say. When I say I don't know how to go about it, and what would stand out a little bit more. But again, if you want to talk about the vibration that he was on, you know, so it was only right, what I'm saying, he got with Jada because Jada was as sick as this motherfucker was, if not even sicker, depending on how you want to look at it. But we're not here to judge because obviously this nigga didn't help. If anything, if anything, I would say, oh shit, I almost forgot about this. If anything, this nigga, right, stayed away after, she said that she was going backwards. So that's a big progress for somebody supposedly sick and who's also respectful too. I mean, that's respecting himself there. Not calling her crying and all that shit. Well, I mean, I was gonna say I don't hope this nigga kill himself, but that's himself. So he's responsible for that. Um, but yeah, I guess that's the only thing I would say about that. Now let's put everything all together. So what are we looking at right here? On the spiritual path, this is the spiritual part of the spiritual work, or the aspect of, yeah, that's part of the spiritual work that has to be done in order for you to become spiritual. You got to get away from society bullshit. And not just getting away, but the one thing that's going to allow you to get away is to become more knowledgeable, to get light. You have to get hard information, hard knowledge type of information, um, that are life-based information. Do you see what I'm saying? Some of the information that school will not give you. Do you see what I'm saying? That you would have to learn in life. You know, those are the information that you should be looking for, because that's going to help you to raise your vibration. And as you raise your vibration at that point, then you'll be able to do your shadow work, because your insecurities and all the bullshit's gonna start showing themselves. They're gonna start surfacing. Because as um, Einstein said, you cannot solve an issue with the same energy that created the problem, or that particular issue. That's why when you're in the game, you cannot see it. And that's why you have to acquire knowledge, because knowledge is going to raise your frequency, it's going to raise your vibration. Then with a higher state of mind, because you cannot approach the same problem with the same state of mind that created the problem. And that's not because he said it. I mean, it is what the fuck it is. You see what I'm saying? It is what it is. And that's why anybody who talks about shadow work, you cannot do your shadow work until you raise your vibration. That's when your insecurities, I should say, is going to start showing up, right? So once they start showing up, and then you kind of go from there. Then you got to understand the psychological aspect of it. Oh, so that if we were to use that in the Will Smith situation, once he understands what true love is, right? That you're not responsible for other people. I mean, he's been saying that shit, but it's all word. Oh, and I've seen the latest, and I gotta talk about this too. So now, with that being said, bad marriage for life and all that bullshit, you can tell that shit's fake. Um, there was something else, another type of shit that now they're trying to promote it. First, it was. Do you see what's happening here? I mean, in my interpretation, first it was fake love, right? But I think there was a commercial or something that I've seen how they're trying to promote it. But there was a promotion out there. So this nigga, the ego is a motherfucker. He's repackaging the thing, but having the same bullshit, right? Because the way he's repackaging it is, they love each other. They really got to know each other. I mean, the reality is, this is what I'm saying. I could see where they're coming from, but for some reason, it's not it. It's not it. And I definitely don't want to sound like a fucking hater or anything, but when you know when you know. You see what I'm saying? Again, relating to going back to the new age bullshit, using a lot of sprinkle some spiritual shit in it, but essentially it's bullshit. The essence is not, don't even hold weight. Do you see what I'm saying? So, but anyway, to get back, there was some shit about how they started, and they fell apart, and now they're stronger than ever. Oh my God! So maybe this nigga is never gonna learn his lesson, or if he does, hey, that's his life. That's what he got to go through. Good. But as far as other people watching or learning from this, and if I'm using his example as far as doing the shadow work, or I'm being on that spiritual path, the first thing would be to learn, spiritual shit, because to become spiritual, it has to be spiritual based. So information that is not confined to fucking society, to understand that a school doesn't define you. And you can just look at your life, right? We wear so many different hats. You a teacher, you a student. I'm a son, I'm a father. Like so many different things. So how can one thing define you? And that's the one thing you have to understand. And the second thing you also have to understand is that people, have their own path. Everybody has their own path. So you understanding that automatically, I shouldn't say automatically, but to some degree, you won't be judging anybody. once you start to understand. And also, people can only understand things that they're ready to actually understand. Once you understand that, nobody's stupid. That's what I'm saying. Like, I could say stupid shit too, like, but the reality of it, it would be for lack of better terms, right? Because, and that's why I say spirituality or the occult, you got to be in that space for you to understand it, and not just that. It's pretty much everything else in life. I know shit that motherfuckers used to tell me that has nothing spiritual in it that I couldn't understand until it was time for me to understand. So you have to learn, grasp this type of knowledge, learn about life. People grow just like a plant grows. That's what the metaphysics is. Where physics stops, metaphysics continues. Look at, learn about nature. Just like you plant a seed, you grow. Guess what? The seed that was planted in Will Smith's situation was the fucking discrepancies he saw in his family. Now, for you to become new, you have to plant a different seed. And that's what being born again is. Now, being born of the Spirit. See, religion always talk about being born in a sense of negation, in a sense of, I used to drink, I don't drink anymore. That has nothing to do with spirituality. They talked about it in the sense of, you should do certain things that you don't do anymore, but they don't talk about what's being added to you, which is the Spirit. There's something new being added to you. Now, you may choose not to drink again, which is good too. Whatever the fuck you want to do. But the bottom line is becoming something new, being born of Spirit, not of the ego anymore. And the ego is, the sense of trying to belong to something, the attachment, or trying to identify yourself with certain things. You see what I'm saying? So you have to be born again. Now your attachment would be the Spirit, and being spiritual is no fucking attachment. That's when you start truly living. So in other words, you never heard people saying, they say it all the time, but they use God, right? They would say, and maybe my next video should be about marriage too, or maybe fucking relationship. Maybe it should, I don't know. But you ever heard people saying, like, your marriage is not gonna work if God is not involved? That is so fucking true. And of course, we're saying God, but what I'm saying is it's a higher consciousness. Because at that point, when you have a higher consciousness, now you don't look at the person in an egotistical way. You're looking at, okay, so-and-so is not perfect, and so am I. So how do we deal with fucking each other? Your communication is going to become better. You're going to have more compassion. Because at this point, you're looking at it from a different set of eyes. You turn the other cheek. But when you are in an egotistical, everything that niggas talk about as far as marriage is fucking true. They tell you not to get married, all that shit is fucking true. Or if you're gonna get married, guess what? Get a prenup, nigga. You know what I'm saying? All that shit is fucking true. Why is it true? Because you're dealing with the ego. People change. Or when they get mad, they're going to react a certain way. It's all of the ego. They don't want to let go. They gotta get you back. When it comes to ego, whenever things are good, there's no problem. And spirituality, when things are good, there's no problem. And when things are not good, there's no problem either. Because you're able to go beyond, you transcend the bullshit. So when you're dealing with somebody on an ego, that's why, like me personally, I can never be with a dead person. Because it's not gonna work. Not even two dead people work together. Not even two dead motherfuckers goes well. And that's when you're gonna find out there's a lot of shit in the marriage that's not going well. But you know, they're saying that's what marriage is. No, it's not. No, it's not. A relationship is not about fucking argument, nigga. You don't have when you truly love somebody, you have to argue with them. Get the fuck out of here. What that has to do with love? What that has to do with understanding? No, it's not fucking true. Not fucking true at all. So there's a lot of issues. There's a lot of bullshit or niggas stepping out of their marriages. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about shit. You could have two, three girls too, depending on what the fuck you want. But when you're spiritual, there's a certain understanding that comes with it. You know what I'm saying? You become transparent too. Watch every spiritual nigga. You know what I'm saying? They gonna be transparent because in so many ways, you know that doesn't define you. But with your ego, you gotta, you know, you have a fucking image to protect. So that's all I got to say. That's the spiritual side of it. That's the society aspect of what you have to deal with. And I didn't even talk about your parents, not, you know, in that capacity. I guess I talked about, you know, the relationship and a little bit I touched on you not being responsible for your parents and all shit and all of that. And there's a lot more to it too. There's a lot more to it. We're talking about the information that they gave you. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just crazy because when you become spiritual, it's just different. Imagine having like, and here's something else too. You know, they always tell you, you know, a family needs a dad and a, you know, needs a dad and a mother, right? A father and a mother. Does it? I mean, I get it. The feminine and the masculine energy, I get it. But what happens when both of them are done? You're gonna die suffocated, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be fuck these niggas. You gotta walk away. So this is what I'm saying. Spirituality gives you a whole different perspective. You got to be able to detach from all of it. And that doesn't mean you don't love them. That doesn't mean you don't have any compassion for them. But it's truly to understand that's their path, and you're here to live for yourself, develop yourself, work on yourself. So you know that's what I have to say because there are so many different shit that I could, so many different avenues that I could go with on that bitch. Hope you enjoyed it or you didn't enjoy it. It doesn't make a difference if you understand what I'm saying. But most importantly, that was the spiritual part of it that I wanted to touch on. Peace. My lady.